From the moment US President Joe Biden announced he wasn't running for re-election anymore and was backing Kamala Harris to succeed him, the cash started rolling in. And boy, is it ever a lot of cash. In the 24 hours immediately after Harris announced her candidacy, donors flooded her campaign fund with a whopping $81 million. Even in the crazy magic numbers world of US political campaign fundraising, this was a new benchmark by far. Big money dominates political campaigns in the US like never before. And make no mistake, this money, billions of dollars of it, is being used to influence American voters. Few people raise money more effectively than Donald J. Trump. Take one particular fundraiser in June. He addressed people for 3/4 of an hour and walked away with a cool $50 million. That's $1.1 million a minute, or at roughly the rate at which I'm speaking now, that's about $6,000 a word, give or take. When Trump was found guilty of falsifying his business records in May, he leveraged even that to raise money. Nearly $53 million in 24 hours, according to his people. When a gunman tried to end Trump's life in July, his campaign team posted a picture asking for money. A company owned by Trump is now selling $300 sneakers that show a picture of him with streaks of blood on his cheek, pumping his fist in the air. But even Trump was unable to keep up with the Democratic fundraising machine. The Biden war chest was filling faster. Celebrities like Julia Roberts and George Clooney would routinely show up at a fundraiser for the Democrats and raise the odd $30 million. But concerns over Joe Biden's health were growing. And when the president turned in a disastrous display during his debate with Trump in June, Hollywood called for a dembargo. Stars the Democrats could normally rely on cooled their support. So in the 3 months to the end of June, Trump's fundraisers pulled in more than $431.2 million. Team Biden, with $332.4 million, came in short. But here's the thing, regardless of who you want to win, these numbers are mind-boggling, almost beyond comprehension. Between the Democrats and the Republican presidential campaigns, the total raised for the 2024 election by mid-July is reckoned to be $781.5 million. So that figure was mostly totted up before Biden dropped out of the race. Let's take a step back for a sec. Since 2004, just one fundraising platform, the Democratic organization Act Blue, has raised more than $14 billion. In 2020, nearly $14 billion was spent on federal election campaigns in the United States, making it, by one measure, the most expensive campaign in US history. Now, obviously, this kind of cash isn't coming in dribs and drabs from ordinary Americans. No, they donate $10 here, a few $100s there. The billions we're talking about are mostly raised by what's called political action committees, or PACs, and their mutant cousin, the Super PAC. Now, bear with me here. PACs are tax-exempt organizations that raise and spend money to elect or defeat candidates. They've been going strong since the 1940s, and their spending is capped by law. Super PACs, on the other hand, don't make donations to candidates or parties directly. Instead, they fund expenses like mail drops, TV and internet ads, and other messaging. Critically, they can raise and spend however much money they want. And while they have to register the names of the donors, they can be shell companies, which means it can be difficult to work out who exactly is paying for what. For the upcoming November election, there are 2,218 super PACs. So far, they've raised more than $2 billion and they've spent about 1/4 of that. They sprang up out of two momentous court decisions in 2010. The courts ruled that certain types of fundraising were covered by the First Amendment of the US Constitution, which enshrines the right to free speech. They're supposed to be independent of politicians, but that doesn't always match with what we call the facts on the ground. Republicans, like Mitch McConnell, loved super PACs from the get-go. Former President Barack Obama hated them before realizing the Democrats risked being blown away by conservative spending. And so the funding arms race began. In mid-July, the Wall Street Journal reported that business tycoon Elon Musk would be donating $45 million a month to a pro-Trump super PAC. The tech billionaire Peter Thiel has been spending some of his billions backing Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, through a super PAC. But it's not always easy to follow the money.
We look at this money being spent and think, well, they're picking the candidates and ultimately the office holders. And even though we know this money is being spent because we see contributions to various groups, it's important to remember that a lot of this is essentially secret money, because when you see a television ad, it doesn't say paid for by Peter Thiel or paid for by George Soros.
The basic point to make is that if individuals are putting in this vast amount of money into the political system, they expect something for their money. And what they get for their money, there is a deterrent effect on a healthy, normal political debate where the interests of ordinary voters are being held front and center, not only by the voters themselves as they vote, but also by the candidates.
And the directive that super PACs can fund anything except direct contributions to candidates and parties has been used to the max by Donald Trump, for example. His Save America super PAC has spent $59.5 million on legal consulting fees since the start of 2023. More than $1.1 million of its spending last March alone went towards two firms representing Trump at his New York criminal hush money trial. And there are concerns about the power that these mega buck donations can give to the donors. There have been reports that billionaire donors to the Democrats lobbied for Biden to stay in the race, or they directed their cash to demand that he go. Dollar bills have always added up to power. Super PACs amplify that power. And in an election that may be decided by a few 100,000 voters in only a handful of swing states, well, come November 5th, the richest 1% plan to cash in.